Hi guys, Dave here, and I'm out here in my workshop, and I have been thinking about doing a new series of videos, not necessarily specifically related to what I have out here, but more along the lines of commentary. And what I am going to do is just offer my thoughts and impressions on various things that seem important to me. We'll see how well they're received, or if they're not well received, and hopefully this can spark some discussion in the comments. And so this will be the first in this series of videos. I hope you like it. And the first video, the first thing that I wanted to talk about today was the term man cave. Man cave. This is something that I really only started hearing about a few years ago, and it just kind of hit me the wrong way, really rubbed me the wrong way. I don't like the term. I think it's got some really negative connotations, and I think unfortunately most people don't really sort of get that. So not that I have any specific particular wonderful insight, but you know, I am a middle-aged guy. I'm reasonably successful in life. I got a house, got a wife, got kids. So I think I have some perspective on this. So what is a man cave defined as? And if you go online and you look at, say, Wikipedia, and you'll bear with me, I'm looking at some notes over here. It's a male retreat or sanctuary in a home, such as a specially equipped garage, spare bedroom, media room, den, or basement. It's a metaphor describing a room inside the house or outside the house, you know, like my shop here, where men are supposed to be able to do whatever they want without any kind of interference from the women folk. You know, without, you know, upsetting the women, the ladies' sense of design or decor. Most of the time when I see references to a man cave, the most common thing really seems to be something like a home theater environment. Like somebody set up a den and it's got, you know, a huge flat panel TV, it's got a killer sound system, you know, they can watch, you know, Fast and Furious, 87, whatever, or watch sports. You know, if you like pro sports, great. I think there's a confusion between watching pro sports or sports of any kind and actually participating in them. Personally, watching a bunch of other people play a game does not strike me as a particularly masculine activity. Participating in those sports is masculine, or can be, but you know, just watching a bunch of people play a game, run a ball up and down a field or a court while you're sitting back, you know, getting into your umpteenth beer, does not strike me as the height of manliness. And certainly I'm not anti-alcohol. I got a beer right here, and I usually have a nightcap because I figure it turned my grandfather into an old man. He had a drink every day, and he died at the age of 100. So retreating into a man cave, though, is that really something that we want to consider as being a manly activity? And one of the things that sort of sparked this particular video was a conversation I recently had with George Bruno. I'll provide a link to his channel. Not that he really needs a shout out for me because he's got a lot of subscribers. But we were comparing activities that we did when we were younger, you know, we were teenagers back in the 1980s. And one of the things that he did was he was a Boy Scout, and he was involved in a rescue patrol which did search and rescue activities, which I thought was pretty cool, because when I was in when I was in my teens and back in the 80s, one of the things that I did was I was a member of the Civil Air Patrol, which is a civilian auxiliary of the United States Air Force. It dates back to World War II. And I was in a ground search and rescue squadron. And so periodically we would get called out to go try to find a downed aircraft. And he did something very similar. And we're both talking about these parallel experiences that we had, me here in southeastern Pennsylvania, and he was in a different state. And we were thinking, can you imagine kids nowadays engaged in that sort of activity? Going out, being, out in the woods for an extended period of time, not living off the land, but, engaged in these activities where, potentially you're going to be saving somebody's life. And, based on what we've seen of most kids these days, and granted I'm generalizing here, it doesn't seem like there are very many who would be interested in this kind of activity. And there have been plenty of news stories about the decline of scouting. And it's really kind of a shame. And so tying this back into what I originally wanted to talk about, the man cave, is that one of the things that we've seen really in the West is it's sort of a decline in valuing traditional masculine virtue. And if you have to retreat to a cave within your own home, it implies that you're not only not an equal partner, you're really subservient in that household. And that's really kind of a shame. And it's nice to have somewhere else, somewhere where you can retreat and not be bothered. I myself sometimes like to go fishing because, I can go out there, I can smoke a cigar, catch a fish or don't catch a fish. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's bothering me. But, implying that men need to go back into a cave within their house or outside their house really implies kind of like they're unsophisticated troglodytes. And yeah, sure, there are plenty of men that fit that description. But, what about coming up with a place that you can do things constructively, where you can develop your mind, where you can develop your skills? You're not going to do that by sitting and becoming a couch potato. At the very least, you're going to wind up picking up a beer gut like I've got, which, try not to look at this. But what we really need is we need environments that can really cultivate physical and mental development. And something along those lines, something constructive could be like a study where you have a library of actual books. It seems passé today for people to read actual physical books. Everybody likes to get their stuff in an ebook format, whether it's a Kindle or Nook or just like a PDF or whatever. They're great. They're very handy. You're dependent, of course, on technology, as modern 21st century technology, as opposed to medieval technology of ink on paper. It also, how to say this, but say important to mental development is actually some contemplation, not necessarily meditation, but actually exercising a little bit of thought. And it should be something that, I'm addressing men, but obviously women are going to want to do this as well. In order for you to develop as a person, you need to contemplate various things that are going on both within you and without you. So within you, how are you developing as a person, your own emotional health, and then what about things that are going on in the world? You're getting spoon-fed one thing or the other by the mainstream media, and then if you go to alternative media, then the other thing that you have a risk of running into is just selecting things that are going to just subject you to what's called confirmation bias. So like if say if you're on the right side of the political spectrum and you seek out politically right-leaning websites, you're kind of in an echo chamber. Likewise, it's the same thing for people on the left. They, on the other hand, don't really have to go much to the alternative media to get their own confirmation bias. I mean, because the mainstream media is completely dominated by the political left wing. So what I'm getting to in this really roundabout, meandering observation is come up with a space that you can go into, think, develop, do something constructive, develop your mind, develop your skills, set up a workshop like I've got here, set up a study in your house. Heck, set up a home theater room. That's fine, cool. If you can afford it and that's what you're into, rock on. But don't put yourself into the position of being some sort of uncivilized troglodyte living or spending your free time in a cave. Let's get rid of that and let's move on and let's better ourselves. So that's about it for today. Hope you find this interesting. Realize it was a bit long and rambling, but let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and share it. Thanks. See you next time.